What if Nezuko was never turned into a demon? What if fate had spun a different thread on that blood-soaked night when Muzan Kibutsuji forever changed the Kamado family? With Nezuko not being turned into a demon, the story of Demon Slayer would change completely. Today, we're diving deep into 3 incredible what-if scenarios to see how the story of Demon Slayer would have progressed if Nezuko was not turned into a demon. Each of these alternate timelines reveals shocking possibilities that will make you see your favorite characters in an entirely new light. And trust me, by the end of this video, you will be questioning everything you thought you knew about the story's destiny. So without further ado, let's begin. In the first theory, Nezuko has not been turned into a demon because she has been killed. Okay, but why did Nezuko die? Now, there could be multiple reasons for that. First of all, we know that Muzan wanted a demon who could survive the sunlight, and knowing the Kamado family's connection to sunbreathing, also known as Hinokami Kagura, he had a feeling that they could be the answer to his long search, and that's why he attacked them. But none of the Kamado family could sustain the blood of Muzan other than Nezuko. That's why she ended up becoming a demon, and others unfortunately died. Now, in this alternative timeline, we believe that Nezuko could not sustain the evil and demonic blood of Muzan and died with the rest of the family. R.I.P. Nezuko. But there's another possibility. Maybe she was able to sustain Muzan's blood, and her demon transformation would have been a lot quicker than the original timeline. So quicker that Muzan was still present at the scene. Consumed by rage over her murdered family, she would have attacked Muzan with all her newfound demonic strength. However, the fight would have been furious, with Muzan having no choice but to kill her. We have another possibility. Tanjiro's journey home takes longer through the snow-covered mountains, and Giyu Tomioka arrives at the Kamado household first. Drawn by the scent of demonic presence, he finds a newly transformed Nezuko, still in the violent throes of her demonic awakening. Without Tanjiro's desperate intervention to keep his blade, Giyu would have no choice but to fulfill his duty as a Hashira. The battle would be swift and decisive, with Giyu's water-breathing techniques ending Nezuko's demon life mere moments after it began. By the time Tanjiro reaches home, he would find only the aftermath of this tragic encounter, his sister gone and a stoic Hashira standing guard over a duty already fulfilled. Now, if Nezuko is dead, how would the story of Demon Slayer progress? Especially, how would it affect Tanjiro? With Nezuko gone, Tanjiro's journey would be different. He loses everything, not just his family, but the one thing that made him unique among Demon Slayers, his capacity for compassion towards demons. Think about it. Every time in the original story, where Tanjiro showed mercy to a demon, where his understanding of their humanity shaped his actions, all of that would vanish. Remember his encounter with Rui, where he felt sorrow for the demon's twisted desire for family? In this timeline, that conversation ends very differently. No words of understanding, no moment of connection, just the swift, merciless execution of another demon. This event will also affect Tanjiro's training under Uroko Daki. The training might take a darker turn. Instead of learning to control his emotions, he harnesses them. His rage becomes a weapon as deadly as his blade. His supernatural sense of smell, which once helped him understand demons' emotions, now serves only to hunt them more efficiently. He becomes something akin to a force of nature, a demon of vengeance wearing human skin. The relationships that define the original story transform dramatically. Zenitsu and Inosuke might find themselves following a very different kind of leader, one whose strength comes not from protecting others, but from an unquenchable thirst for demon blood. Even the Hashira would view him differently. But here's where it gets really interesting. This version of Tanjiro might actually climb the ranks faster. Without having to protect Nezuko or worry about keeping her condition secret, he could focus solely on becoming stronger. Imagine him mastering multiple breathing styles out of sheer necessity, his talent driven by a pure vengeance rather than protection. However, this power comes at a terrible price. Without Nezuko's influence, Tanjiro loses the very thing that made him special, his humanity. He becomes more like the very creatures he hunts, driven by a singular purpose, losing pieces of his soul with every demon he slays. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes our greatest strength comes from what we choose to protect, not what we choose to destroy. So that was theory number 1. Let's move on to the second of the 3 theories. In the next 2 theories, Nezuko would survive, but won't be turned into a demon. This could happen in 2 ways. First, Nezuko was not there with her family. Perhaps she went off with her brother Tanjiro to sell charcoal in the city. Or maybe when Muzan was about to transform her into a demon, Giyu arrived and saved her. So ultimately, she was not turned into a demon and remained a human. The next 2 theories discuss how, with a human Nezuko, the story of Demon Slayer would progress. In our second theory, both Kamado siblings survive the attack completely human. When they both arrive at home, they find their family butchered mercilessly. Then Giyu Tomioka arrives and asks both of them to train under the guidance of Urokodaki to avenge their family, just like in the original timeline. This version of events creates something unprecedented in the Demon Slayer Corps, a brother-sister duo whose bond becomes legendary among Demon Slayers. Picture the training with Urokodaki, but this time with 2 students instead of 1. While Tanjiro maintains his affinity for water breathing, Nezuko develops her own unique style. Perhaps she masters an adaptation of the Hinokami Kagura, her movements quick and graceful like dancing flames. Their complementary styles create combination attacks never seen before in the Corps. The dynamic between them becomes famous among demons and slayers alike. Tanjiro's power and Nezuko's agility, his defensive techniques protecting her swift attacks. They become known as the sun and moon of the Demon Slayer Corps. 2 parts of a whole, each making the other stronger. This changes every relationship in the series. Zenitsu's character arc takes a fascinating turn. Instead of protecting a demon Nezuko, he trains alongside her, his lightning techniques complementing her style. Their relationship develops naturally, through shared battles and training, rather than his one-sided adoration of a sleeping demon. Inosuke finds himself constantly challenged by both siblings. Imagine him trying to prove himself against not just Tanjiro's strength, but Nezuko's speed. The rivalry evolves into a 3-way competition that pushes all of them to greater heights. The Hashira react differently too. Instead of debating whether or not to kill Nezuko, they watch with interest as this unprecedented duo rises through the ranks. Shinobu, who lost her sister to demons, might find herself particularly drawn to their story. The sibling bond between Tanjiro and Nezuko becomes a symbol of hope for the Corps, proof that family bonds can survive even in their dark world. Their missions play out differently as well. Without having to protect a demon's sister, they can take on more dangerous assignments. Their teamwork allows them to tackle higher-ranked demons earlier, changing the entire timeline of events. Perhaps they even develop new techniques specifically designed for sibling cooperation, creating a whole new school of demon slaying. So that was the theory number 2. Let's move on to the final theory of the video. You may find the final theory to be the most captivating and heartbreaking. What if Muzan, instead of turning Nezuko into a demon, recognized something unique in her blood? The last traces of the sun-breathing user's bloodline, a potential key to his ultimate goal of conquering the sun, and took her with him. This creates a story of desperate pursuit. Tanjiro doesn't just train to become stronger, he races against time itself. Every day Nezuko spends in Muzan's custody could be her last. This urgency forces him to push beyond normal limits, mastering techniques at an unprecedented pace. Meanwhile, we get a fascinating glimpse into Muzan's world through Nezuko's eyes. Held captive but unbroken, she becomes a silent resistance force within his organization. She sabotages experiments, gathers intelligence, and perhaps even influences some of the demons around her. Imagine scenes where she witnesses Muzan's cruelty firsthand, understanding the true nature of demons while maintaining her own humanity. This version of the story allows us to explore the upper moons in a different light. Perhaps some, like Akaza with his strong sense of honor, find themselves reluctantly impressed by Nezuko's quiet strength. Others might be assigned to guard her, leading to complex relationships between captor and captive. For Tanjiro, every battle becomes more than just a fight. It's a potential lead to his sister's whereabouts. His famous analytical mind develops differently, focused not just on defeating demons, but on extracting information about Muzan's whereabouts. He might even spare certain demons in exchange for intelligence about Nezuko. The story builds to a different kind of climax. Instead of just defeating Muzan, Tanjiro must somehow rescue Nezuko while preventing Muzan from completing whatever ritual or experiment he plans with her blood. This creates an agonizing choice: save his sister, or save humanity from Muzan's ambitions. What makes these alternate timelines so fascinating isn't just how they change the story, but how they illuminate the themes that make Demon Slayer great. Each version shows us different aspects of what makes these characters who they are. In the first timeline, we see how grief can consume even the purest heart. In the second, we witness the power of familial bonds unchanged by supernatural forces. In the third, we explore the lengths one will go to protect their family, from both sides of the conflict. But here's a question for you. Which version of Tanjiro do you think would ultimately be stronger? The vengeance-driven slayer who lost everything, the brother fighting alongside his sister, or the desperate young man racing to save the last family he has left? And if you're wondering how these changes would affect specific battles, like how each version of Tanjiro would handle the fight against Rui differently, make sure to catch our next video, where we break down these alternate encounters in detail. Let me know in the comments which timeline you find most intriguing, and share your own theories about how these changes would affect the story. Remember to subscribe for more deeper dives into your favorite anime series. See you next time!